very much for your time, for being here with me today. So tell us, present yourself a little bit for the community, and tell us you are in Belgium as well.
Okay, so thank you for having me, Pamela. My name is Niels Vandecasteele. I am co-founder and co-CEO of Sunday. We're a Belgium-based company that creates custom fashion collections for companies for internal or external use. But most common, it's actually to boost the employer brand and the company culture of businesses.
Awesome. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about your vision of the employer branding evolution in Belgium?
Yeah, definitely. So Belgium, for those who don't know where Belgium is, it's a small country, around 11 million people in the heart of Europe. You're surrounded by Germany, France, and UK on the seaside. And Belgium is economically quite strong. So it's a strong country with a lot of industry, making industry, but also a lot of white collar consulting. So basically, if you look at Belgium. What we've seen here is the region where we are is West Flanders. There's a lot of make industry, so a lot of really big global players that make flooring, for example, or make insulation or all these things. And we've seen that because they are economically so strong and so growing on a global scale, that the need for employees is gigantic. Even in the city where I live, there are more jobs than people, basically. So that means that if you open a job position, there's just not enough people to fill it. And then you get in a supply and demand situation. And I would say 20 years ago, it wasn't a problem here, or 25. But the last years, the main problem all companies have here is find enough employees. And those are in different categories. So actually production employees who want to still do production work is a big challenge. And then, of course, IT and engineers. Those two are extremely rare. And because of the growing, let's say, administrative pressure in Belgium, like more documentation, more reporting, and so on, we've seen the same with, for example, accountants is a really scarce group of people. And what happens then is the moment that these companies want to grow, really get in a competitive market for talent. And that's when employer branding actually really started to take off here, I would say between 5 and 10 years ago. And now it's actually in the core business plan of every company and every marketing spend, even that recruiting actually became really part of the company's challenges. Like just finding enough people even is already a challenge.
Yeah, I can see the difference from here in Uruguay. Like, it's very set and so much more evolved employer branding there. So it's very different how the employer branding is in the different parts of the world. What's your vision as for employer branding, like in the world?
We do work for a lot of global companies. So we do see that the need for employer branding is different in every region. Let's say if we look at the main European countries, France, Germany, UK, if I count Belgium and Netherlands to it, there's a huge need for employees. It's really a big problem. So the employer branding is really on top of the agenda for every company. This goes from internal initiatives, this goes from compensation, but this also goes what we do in company culture, in employer branding, actually building the brand as an employer and kind of getting the people together, getting the people to collect around the vision of the company, collect around the brand and associate themselves in the idea to or attract new employees, which I would say this was the first focus in employer branding, was actually recruiting campaigns. We've seen this in the beginning, that companies that would say we do employer branding, the idea was actually facade, so front looked really nice and they really focused on recruiting. So, and now we've seen that the results of these campaigns were often contradictory because they attracted a lot of people, but the inside was not nice. So they left again. So they spent a lot of money on recruiting. Then this problem happened, so internally it was not perfect, and they left again. So now we've seen actually a big shift in more towards employee retention. So actually focusing and doing initiatives like onboarding, for example, is a big one that just didn't exist here 15 years ago. And making sure that the moment we get somebody through the door, we have the highest chance of retaining this person for a certain number of years. And then they go again to the recruiting campaigns. So it actually was, okay, let's first start getting people inside the door. Then they saw, oh no, this backfires, because at one point you just get a big stream of people who maybe don't fit culturally, who don't like the job, who maybe sometimes think they've been lied to in the marketing part. And that also have an effect on the current employees, because they see an influx and outflux of people, and they get chaos, and they get a negative atmosphere. So now we've seen a big shift from companies towards employee well-being, making sure that people feel good. There's been, because of COVID, a big shift towards partially remote work. So this was in our regions just not done, basically. Work from home was, everybody was at the office every day. And if you worked 2-hour drive, you drove to the office basically every day. And now it's really shifted to, I would say, 2 or 3 days in the week working from home, to have that work-life balance more. So we've really seen from a shift from outside in employer branding to inside out employer branding.
Yeah, totally. It's as much important as it is attracting, then it's retaining, as you said. Yeah, that's true. Okay, thank you very much. And I would tell you, you are talking right now to the employer branding new community here in Uruguay, which consists of many HR people, HR managers, but also marketeers, and many ones that are aspiring and getting to know what is exactly employer branding and how to become employer branding professionals. So this is like starting here. What would you tell us in Uruguay about employer branding?
The most successful campaigns we've seen was people first. So actually make it about the people and work inside out. So first of all, try to define the identity of your company. Try to have a clear vision and not just some words on the wall or a slogan on the wall, but really something the company can get behind. Then define core values. Okay, what do we stand for? Who are we? And you can do this with the whole company and make sure that it lives every single day. And then you can really build on that group, make each other stronger, build that culture stronger. So people actually start filtering if they belong there or not. So you could really start seeing cultural fit. And the earlier you start with doing that, the easier it will be to attract and retain. So the earlier you get your fundamentals right, and this is a bit of HR, but it's basically, okay, what is our vision or our mission? Like, why are we here? And not only to collect our paychecks, but what is the bigger goal we are trying to achieve? What are the rules, or what is the playing field to do this? So our core values, how do we do things? Are we always, like Facebook says, are we always breaking things and striving towards new things? Or are we just, okay, we take the safe bet and make sure that everybody feels well and we don't take too much risks? This could be two cultures who are equally okay. Really define this. And from that on, you can really start educating your employees and start working on that word of mouth, I would say, is a really big one, making sure they become ambassadors. That's, of course, a bit in what we do, but we've seen that if we look at even recruiting campaigns, that word of mouth or referrals just have the highest success rate and the lowest cost per hire if companies want to scale. And from that on, if you got all those points fixed, then you can start on building bigger media campaigns or building bigger campaigns to attract a bigger audience. Because the last thing you want to do is, of course, invest a lot in a big media campaign. And then the moment somebody comes in and they talk to an employee, they're like, oh, it's not really like that here. It's different. And then all the work you did in that media part is lost. So really, first, make sure that everybody on the company understands who are we, how do we do things, what's the culture, in our case, what's the Sunday culture, who would fit here, what are the people that fit here, then really enforce that, and then you can build on recruitment campaigns. You can build on even employee awareness campaigns and so on.
Yeah, I agree. Like this building the fundamentals for the strategy afterwards, like to make activity thinking about the big picture, like where are we going, who we are, right? I totally agree with you. Thank you very much, Niels, for all your answers and for your time, of course, for Uruguay. So it was really nice having you. Thank you.
It was my pleasure, Pamela. I hope the employer branding community in Uruguay really takes off. And as I've seen it here, it's only a matter of a couple of years before it's really mainstream. And now there are no companies left who don't work on it on any level. It's just not competitive anymore because employees have so many choice. And there's so many options from local competitors to international competitors to work from home, basically, for any company in the world, that you have it's become a competition, and you have to be aware of that, and you have to invest in that.
Yeah, totally. It's a new part of the company that is a must. That's the way we see it. Okay, thank you.